Just a quick video here to demystify chain slack. A lot of people don't quite understand. Uh, it sounds like so mysterious and so crazy, but it's really quite simple once you know the secret. Measuring it and adjusting it isn't always, but we'll use the old VFR 800 here, which is what I have. And this one has a single-sided swing arm. You know, when you look on the other side of the bike, there's no swing arm, which is very, very nice when you're replacing a tire. You just buzz it off like a car and chuck it back on again. But the situation is, you know, here's your rear sprocket. And if you look at, see that little bolt right there? That's the pivot point for the rear suspension. So that swing arm is pivoting off that. So, you know, as you bounce along, but that's not where the output sprocket is for the bike. It's coming out of the output of the motor, which is like right here. So you have this funny kind of geometry where the chain, you know, isn't going all the way to the back from the output sprocket. It has to kind of ride over the top here as it bends over the pivot point. So if you know, it kind of almost doesn't matter when you're doing this, but if you go over a big bump like that, now you have all that length with this heavy, tough chain torquing on the output shaft, or rather the output sprocket. So that's why the chain slack measurement is important, so that when you're on, you know, wipeout, when you're on the full, using the full suspension like that, that you don't try to torque on that output sprocket, because it's trying to, you know, basically bend it off the shaft of the motor, which is, you know, not too red hot. And once again, if the swing arm was around the sprocket, and somehow, you know, there are bikes that do that, not very many and not important ones, but sometimes they have a hole, and the chain and the pivot point are all in one. That doesn't matter. You just give it the slightest bit of slack, and that would never change. I mean, you could go all the way up to here because it's just pivoting off a single point. But when you have that funny kind of geometry like that, that's why that measurement's important. And that Motion Pro thing is so much easier. A lot of people will ratchet strap, you know, underneath to pull that, you know, the rear tire up as high as it can go, and then they measure. It doesn't even measure what the measurement is at that point. You just get it up there and just give it the slightest bit of slack, and that'll be the right measurement. But that tool from Motion Pro is just so much easier, you know, and you know you're right in the middle of it. But that's all it is. It's demystified. It's just to keep from torquing on that output sprocket on your bike. All right, that's it.